What's up, Previews World? It's Wednesday. It's New Comic Book Day, which means it's time for Previews World Weekly. I'm one of your hosts, Troy Jeffrey Allen.
I am your other host, Ashton Greenwood, aka the Duchess of Free Comic Book Day, and we are officially in March, which means in a couple days we'll be announcing the gold and silver titles for Free Comic Book Day, March 16th and March 18th. So keep an eye out on the Free Comic Book Day pages for that.
There you go. And if you guys ever see Ashton in real life, whenever we're able to do conventions again, because she's a Duchess, you have to bow when you see her. That's just how that works.
Sorry, we don't make the rules.
We don't make the rules. Like, you just got to respect the royalty around here. That's how this works. Also, I want to remind you guys, besides bowing, I want to remind you guys to like, follow, and subscribe. And it doesn't matter wherever you're watching. Like, you can do that on YouTube. You can do that on Facebook. But just make sure you're following us to make sure you get some of this content so you can see Ashton and myself and our special guest this week, Anna Mia, is going to join us for the full hour.
Hey guys.
What's up, Mia?
Not much. It's good to see you guys again.
I know, right? Like I guess I haven't really done a panel with you, so I haven't really got to see you in virtually anyway. So yeah, it's been a while. It's been a while.
Thank you.
Oh. So Mia, do you like Avatar?
I do.
You do, okay. Like she said that emphatically. Okay, there was a little laugh there too. What was that about?
I still need to catch up some. I am not all the way through it. I kind of got distracted by, just life. But I really do love it, and I love the characters. And yeah, you guys are going to inspire me to probably keep watching it after this is over.
Well, I know Ashton's definitely probably going to accomplish that right now, because this is the part of the show where we talk about things we saw this past week that like just got us through the week, made us happy. We're all nerds here, so sometimes it's the little things that matters, and we wanted to share with you guys. So Ashton, what was the cool thing you saw this past week?
Avatar Studios is alive. It's well. It's happening. I am hype. Okay, so if you haven't heard, Avatar Studios is this kind of offshoot of Nickelodeon that's being headed up by the original creators of Avatar to develop more content in this world. And so they'll be developing content for Paramount Plus, Paramount streaming service, for Nickelodeon, for other third-party streaming platforms, and also for theatrical release. And it will all, as far as we know so far, it will all be animated. It doesn't sound like they're going to be taking a stab at any sort of like live action adaptation, which frankly we don't need that, and some of this stuff won't translate that well anyway. Like I've always thought like Aang's arrow tattoos are kind of like weird as live action, so like you got to know where the line is. And so their first project in this will be an animated theatrical release. Cool. But no word on like what that'll be yet, but I'm excited because I feel like there's a lot of room here to play around, and there's a lot of things to explore. And like if they wanted to jump in terms of like the adulthood of all of the like the main original characters, they could, because nobody knows. Like in Korra, they kind of touch on it, but like nobody knows anything about like what happens to Sokka as an adult, or like what happens to Zuko as Fire Lord and things like that. So I think there's a big sandbox to play in. I just think they need to be careful of knowing where the line is, because sometimes you can get carried away and you don't end up like a Star Wars fate if you're not careful.
That was the first thing I thought of was Star Wars. And you're like, you got to be careful. I was like Star Wars. Okay, yeah, sure. Now that's awesome. I mean, I know they had a dust up. Was it just last year with Netflix about like how they were handling the live action Avatar. I don't know if that's still going to be a thing, or if this it's dead. Okay, all right. So this is a clear indication that the creators are taking the reins. I'm not crazy about another streaming service, got to be honest. Not sure if I'm going to be getting Paramount Plus, but you said they're going to be on third-party platforms too, so that's cool. That's cool. Real quick, I want to talk about something else that I got excited about. Sorry, Mia. We're gonna drag you through this real quick. There's a Terminator. No, it's cool. There's a Terminator anime coming out, and every time I think that like I'm kind of done with Terminator, something kind of rears its head and makes me kind of go, okay, yeah, that could work. But here's the thing. I think this is a little bit different. So hear me out. Like, I got fooled by the last Terminator like everybody else. I got fooled by the Terminator before that like everybody else, right? Like, I want them to be good. James Cameron apparently doesn't care what he puts his name on. But the cool thing about this is, like, it's an anime. And I'm kind of like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense to go that route with Terminator. So Netflix, like on February 26th, basically posted on their social media that the most terrifying killing machine in sci-fi history is back, just like it promised. Project Power's Mattson Tomlin and legendary anime studio production IG are teaming up for an animated series set in the Terminator universe. And look, that's it. That's to me, that's everything. We don't need you to go back to Sarah Connor. We don't need you to go back to the T-1000. We don't need the we don't need to see the Terminator, the T2. Like, we don't need any of those things. What we need is a story that's about the world that the Terminator comes from and how we got there. And I think that's pretty interesting. So yeah, I'm all for that. And we know it works because they've been doing it in comic books for years.
Right.
So it's just one of those things where it's like, yeah, if it works in comics, why can't it work here? So
yeah, I mean, and they did something like that with the Matrix, and the Animatrix was amazing. Like, that's probably one of my favorite animation, anime compilation videos, movies, because it just tells you such a great story, and the format works perfectly for it. So yeah, seeing that there's a Terminator one, I'm super excited.
Okay, sorry. See, Enemy is on board. All right, I respected Enemy. No, yeah, it's just like I think it makes sense, and I'm glad you mentioned Animatrix because that is literally probably like the second best Matrix movie. Like, it's just so good. So maybe we'll get an Animatrix type of deal out of it, and that would be cool. So I mentioned Terminator comics. Speaking of comics, right? How about we talk about some comic books directly instead of indirectly, right? We got What's at Comic Shops here, and Mia's going to join us with her pick this week. So we're going to let her go first. But first, What's at Comic Shops? All right, Mia. So what is on your pull box this week? What are you looking forward to reading?
So my big one that I'm super excited for is the X-Men Demon Days from Marvel. I'm super excited, especially with the Art Germ cover. That just looks incredible. I'm just excited. So, I mean, obviously, I'm gonna like stuff with like Asian culture, but it's the fact that you're taking X-Men and you're putting them in with like samurai and Japanese classic like horror kind of aspects of it. So that all together, I'm here for. So.
All right. All right, and it's Peach Momoko too, which is nice. That's the Art Germ cover, which I agree with you. The Art Germ cover is great. That is a great cover. But the story is written and drawn by Peach Momoko, who of course is a huge fan favorite online, and Marvel just signed an exclusivity deal with her, so this is part of it. And they just announced actually that this is going to be part of several books in a series. So, and they're all going to be one shots. So if you go to the website today, actually, you'll probably find out more about that. Ashton, what is your pick this week?
I'm looking at Dead Dog's Bite #1 from Dark Horse. Troy, as you pointed out to me earlier this week, there's actually a lot of new #1s out this week, so it's like a good chance to kind of dive into something new. This caught my eye because of the cover art, but it's super interesting. So it's kind of like a missing persons detective type story. It's centered around a girl that goes missing in a small town. And she's been gone for several days. Nobody's seen or heard from her. The police have no leads whatsoever, not even anybody they could begin to question. And the townsfolk have kind of already like written her off as dead and given up the search. But her best friend, Joe, is kind of convinced that she's not dead and that she could be able to find her. So she sets out on her own detective path to try and find her best friend. And like any good detective story, nothing is ever the way it seems. So Joe will come up against her own issues. And the one thing that like really sealed the deal for me is that if you read the solicit text on this, like if you get on PREVIEWSworld, read the solicit text, it describes the story as a riddle wrapped in an enigma wrapped in a candy wrapper, which I love. I hope this is like super twisty. I hope there's like, I love a good plot twist. So I'm like super hoping that there is like a oh my God moment in this.
Yeah. No, that's pretty cool. Yeah, you're right. There are like a lot of new #1s out this week. So yeah, plenty of great opportunities for people to jump on. Actually, you did a #1, Mia did a #1, I'm gonna do a #1. So yeah, it's a great week for new readers. Yeah, I haven't read the James Bond comic in a while, and I definitely do enjoy me some James Bond, like I think most of the civilized world. So I'm gonna go with Agent of Spectre, #1. It's coming out from Dynamite this week. Dynamite, of course, has the James Bond license. But the thing that really hooked me into this is that basically Spectre, which, is like the secret evil organization that Bond is always up against, or is occasionally up against in the movies and in the books. there's a coup going on with Inspector. And so now, like, basically Bond's like most well-known enemy, Blofeld, has to employ Bond to protect him from his own people. And in the process, Bond is getting like kind of fully immersed in this world of evil espionage, as opposed to the the suave, decadent espionage that he's normally used to. So yeah, it just sounded cool. Like it's interesting sometimes, like the premise for some of these comics actually sound better than some of the movies. Got to be honest there. And the other part of this is written by Christos Gage, who has done a lot of TV and screenwriting and like comic books over the years. He's written for the Daredevil show. He's done a couple of like Marvel animated films. He also did Thor: The Dark World, but don't hold that against him. And yeah, I think it's just really cool. And also, there's an artist on here. I'm going to try really hard to say his name correctly. Luca Casalanguida. And he really reminds me of Walt Simonson, which I also thought was really interesting. He just kind of has a really kinetic, really expressive style. So yeah, I'm all for it. Like just new number ones. Plenty of cool ones, actually. I'm going to put you guys on to a couple of other new number ones out this week. Johnny, can you throw up our first cover? My Hero Academia has a new spin-off book coming out this week. It's called Team Up Missions. This is volume 1. We did an interview with Hope Donovan, who was actually the Viz Media editor for this book, which was kind of like one of the few times we've done something like this where, it's interesting, the process of translating from Japanese to the American audience, like presenting that and like, not getting things lost in translation. So if you get a chance, that interview is on the front page of our website right now. What else we got? Noctera, number 1. This is a big one. Tony Daniel, Scott Snyder. This is like the dream team from the Batman books a couple of years ago, and now they're teaming up for their own like self-published. It's from Image, but it's like a creator-owned project of their own, which is promising to be darker than dark. So definitely check that out, especially if you're a Batman fan from particularly their run. What else we got? Berserker, number 1. Yeah, Keanu Reeves, Matt Kent, and Ron Garney. It's a great trio of creators coming together to make this Boom Studios book. It's definitely guaranteed to be action-packed. And yeah, definitely worth checking out. We're going to show you guys a trailer later, and it'll have a special guest appearance by somebody. How about that? Chariot number 1. This is another one. I did an interview with the artist of this. Priscilla was nice enough to talk with me about the artistic process, just kind of like breaking down what it takes to like create a 80s Art Deco comic book in 2020. So definitely check that out. Basically, the way it's described is Chariot is Knight Rider meets The Matrix, which is nuts. So definitely check that out. Yeah, it is cool, right? Check that out. It's coming out from AWA today. And I think that's everything for now. So why don't we actually show you guys what else is dropping this week? Mia's here, but Mia's about to show you what's a comic shop with our weekly video. And when I come back, I'll explain why we can have 2 Mias in the same place at once.
What's up, Previews World? Mia here, and I'm going to give you a look at some of the new titles in stores this week. Here's what's at comic shops for the week of March 3rd, 2021. And we're just getting started. The world of comics has even more to offer. So, stop at a shop already, and you might just find your new favorite thing. See ya!
All right, and that is what's at comic shops. You can catch it every week on Mondays. The time may vary based on how quickly I get to it. But, yes, what's at comic shops? You can catch it every Monday. Mia basically gives you a rundown of all the premiere books that are dropping that week. So she's your tour guide through the local comic shops of the world, not just America, of the world. So thank you, Mia. All right, let's do some news real quick. How about that? We already talked about some of our stuff going on in the larger geek sphere, but let's talk a little bit about the stuff that's going on, particularly in comics. Deadpool's about to turn 30, which makes me feel old because I definitely remember picking up his first appearance. Yeah, right. See, look, it just created a whole mood. Right?
Oh my god.
That's just like, But me and Mia are like, jeez. But yes, Deadpool was
I
about to
didn't
turn
think
30.
he was that old, even for like, not having been born yet at his initial appearance. I didn't think he had been around for that long.
Right,
30.
right. No. I mean, it's a real thing. Like, I think he debuted in 1992 or 1993. And, oh, you know what? No, I'm stupid. 30 years, 1990. So, like, yeah.
Nailed it.
Yeah, I nailed it. I remember picking up his first issue, and like, yeah, 30 years later, he's actually more popular than he's ever been. So there you go. But yeah, Deadpool apparently will be starring in a brand new series, and it's going to be part of the Black, White, and Blood line that Marvel's releasing. I kind of feel like this is replacing the Marvel Max line a little bit, like, which is cool. I'm fine with it. Like, I think it's actually kind of interesting because it's not just a content approach in terms of like the maturity level of the stories or blood and guts. I mean, it does say blood on the cover, right? But it's also kind of like accenting the artwork because it is in black and white. And so it's literally just like black, white, and red. Those are like the three colors they use for these comics. And it's a mature label comic on top of that. But yeah, Deadpool Black, White, and Blood will be packed with Deadpool's wildest stories to date, all depicted in a prestige black and white format with a heavy splattering of blood all over. It's going to be Declan Shelby on the cover, and he's going to be joined by a bunch of other creators. So definitely keep an eye on out on that. That's going to be arriving in August from Marvel Comics. And you know where you can pre-order that? From PREVIEWSworld.com. Just simply keep an eye on PREVIEWSworld.com/catalog, and when it arrives on our website, let your retailer know, hey, I want to read this. I went in on this. Okay.
Isn't that like a classic like riddle? Sorry to interrupt. Isn't that a classic riddle? Like, what's black, white, and red all over?
A sunburned zebra. A penguin with a rash. A newspaper.
A newspaper, right. I was about to say,
It's a Deadpool comic.
Yeah.
I loved that.
Sorry.
I see what you did.
I loved that.
I was confused for a second, but yes, I'm like, okay, I see where she's going with this. All right, respect. Thank you, Mia. Are you watching WandaVision at all, Mia?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So, you're gonna ask me if I'm watching WandaVision?
You already know.
You already know the answer.
Look that Troy just gave me, like, I felt that in my soul.
What?
Troy was like, he was like, I've had enough of you. Please get out of here.
No, it's like, you know what's going to be worse, Ashton? Because like 1 week after WandaVision's gone, then Winter Soldier and Falcon is going to show up. So it's going to be more of this for like another several weeks of like, let's just alienate Ashton and just talk around her for like the next 5 minutes about a show.
Whatever. I'll sit here and interject my unhelpful commentary.
You know what? I appreciate it. You know what? That's fine. It's just like watching at home. I love it. So, okay. This past week, I actually noticed this really cool article on Screen Rant. It was about Wanda's stages of grief. And it was actually before I saw the Friday episode. I think it dropped on like the Thursday before or something like that. And so, yeah, it just kind of runs down the list of how potentially the story that we're seeing on WandaVision is basically Wanda's various stages of grief broken into multiple parts. And each episode kind of tackles that in different ways. And of course, you have denial and bargaining. And the concept was that we're getting to acceptance. And so I read that on Thursday. And then, Mia, you saw Friday's episode, right?
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, yeah, all right. That's exactly what they went for. And I was kind of down for that. So I don't know. What were your thoughts on this past episode?
Talk about it that way, like as in terms of each episode being a stage of grief. And now I kind of want to watch each episode again and kind of see if I can identify each one of those. But, as someone who has lost someone very close to me, it really does capture that idea of what someone goes through when they're grieving, because this is only what I think it's like 3 weeks after Endgame, so everything's still so fresh. It seems so long ago to us, but to Wanda, it's so fresh, and everything that's happened, and it was super emotional. Probably one of the best quotes ever. I mean, there needs to be an Oscar for quotes, because the whole "what is grief, but not love persisting" is honestly one of the best like quotes about how it feels to grieve. So
yeah. No, the Vision gets the best lines I've actually noticed. That's like a ongoing thing because I remember it was the end of Age of Ultron, like when Ultron's like trying to like slink away and get away from all the chaos and the rest of the Avengers. Vision stops him and he goes, he says something along the lines of humanity's like doomed or something like that, and like Vision's like, well, nothing lasts, nothing beautiful lasts forever. And it was just kind of like interesting, like it's just an interesting dynamic. He's got some really great lines in general. I'm gonna bring Johnny in here because I'm sure he's chomping at the bits.
Yes.
I told you so.
Well, first and foremost, let me start off by saying, unfortunately, because of the nature of some of the scenes in this past week's episode, that there will not be a WandaVision explained by a 4-year-old episode this time around, because I could just see me filming it. It's like, and dead witches were falling from the sky, and Wanda and Pietro's house blew up. I'm like, I'm not having my son say all that stuff.
Respect.
One thing I got to say I'm super happy to see is that, and this is something I was waiting for since the end of Infinity War. It was like, after I saw Vision's body go lifeless in that movie, I'm like, someone's going to try and bring him back online. Yeah. We're going to end up with a white Vision. And I was so happy to see that. I almost like jumped out of my seat when I saw that. And my wife's like, what the hell are you doing? Like, seriously, don't you understand? It's a white Vision.
That was me too, sitting on the couch watching with my girlfriend, so I understand.
No, I love it. I mean, this show is just great, and the thing I also love about it is how they're tying in so many different aspects of the stories from the comics. I mean, they're doing stuff from House of M, they're doing stuff from West Coast Avengers, they're doing stuff from 2015's run on the Vision with King and Walta, and they really seamlessly tied together all these different story arcs for these characters and made it like a nice seamless transition, unlike some other movies. Batman vs Superman. I'm sorry. I had something in my throat.
Well, we'll see. We'll get to see if that transition was very rough in a couple of weeks when Justice League comes out, but we'll get there. But yeah, I thought it was really cool. And I think Mia's point is great. Like I'll be honest with you guys. I was like, there was some grown man tears kind of bubbling on the side of my eyelids.
Nerd tears?
Yeah. Like legit. Like,
I respect it.
It's okay. And it was I cried too. It's okay.
You're right. Yeah. It was just like, I found myself sitting there like, you kind of recognize that you've been following these characters for a while. You know what I mean? And so you are invested in even the smallest relationships. And so, yeah, it was just a good deal. I was like, good job, Marvel. Good job. So,
who else I have to say good job too is the companies who are making the collectibles. You've seen like the Funko Pops that are coming out.
I have seen some of them, but there's a White Vision already. You got some image of it,
yeah. Funko is on top of this.
On top of it. But you know what? Mia's like the Funko obsessive Mia. Like what is your feelings on the WandaVision Funko Pops?
I like them a lot. What I've been seeing is a lot of people doing like custom Funko Pops for WandaVision. So I'm trying to remember the name of the creator, but he basically went through and made custom Funko Pops for each of the episodes for Wanda and Vision. So you had each episode, the sitcom that they were on, he had created his own Funko version, and it was so cute because he had the whole lineup. So people are really getting into WandaVision because of like, I don't know, all the different sitcoms they showed. Everyone's kind of got their favorite year.
No, absolutely.
Well, that was I don't know. I think like at the beginning, a lot of people didn't know what to think about it. With like, this show, it's gonna what's up with this black and white? I can't watch black and white TV. I'm like, oh man, we are just first world problems. I'm sorry. But I mean, they touched on that in the last episode. Like Wanda and Pietro as a kid, when the parents brought home like old DVDs of I Love Lucy and Bewitched.
No, it was perfect. Yeah, because I don't know if you remember, I was trolling, like trying to make a joke, like, why does Wanda reenact like TV shows from before she was born? And everybody's like, oh, she has Nick at Night. And I'm like, but I mean, like my stupid troll ass joke like ended up being like this emotional like hook on this episode. Like I was literally sitting there, I was like, damn it, they actually did it.
So back to the Funko Pops. I mean, they're coming out with some other stuff here, like the Sokovian fortune teller Wanda, Maria Rambo, or is it Monica? I keep forgetting. Monica. I'm sorry, Maria's mom. Pardon me. Damn, I just lost my nerd cred. And Agatha there from the end of the last episode.
That Agatha is awesome looking.
That's good. Yeah. That and the White Vision, I'm actually really amped for. I know, Johnny. I don't know if you remember this. Do you remember the Avengers arcade game from back in the day?
Vaguely.
Okay. No, I remember.
I don't know if I got the image here. You go ahead, keep talking.
Yeah, no, like I just like my first encounter with the Avengers is actually that arcade game. I actually played it at a roller skating rink, if you can believe that. Like that's a throwback. And like that definitely timestamps Troy pretty.
Was it this one?
Yeah, it's that one. There you go.
Okay.
Yeah, but that's the first time I ever saw White Vision, and so like yeah, it was always weird to me that when he switched back over to his original colors, I was like, what the hell is this? But that's how he's always been, so it's all good.
I'm still trying to figure out like what happened because in the previous episode, not this last one, but one before, Vision floats up from the truck that he's in with Darcy, and we don't really see him for the rest of the episode, if I remember correctly.
Oh, you're right. Yeah. Huh.
So now I'm wondering, is this White Vision? Did Director Hayward capture him and was able to erase his hardware or whatever, or is this something that Director Hayward was working on all along?
Well, it's also the assumption that we're assuming that Monica, I'm sorry, Jesus, that Wanda's vision is like the real Vision. You know what I mean? Like it could be just like a complete and total apparition, like just something that she's kind of like conjured up. It's like not an actual techno-organic whatever. You know what I mean? So, but
anyway, real quick, I just want to go back and get some neglected text, as if I may say so. DJ Young. Neglected text, as one of the local radio stations likes to call it. DJ Young also no such thing as too much killer robots. That's what he was talking about.
Yes, there is.
Yes, there is.
There's definitely a limit on that.
DJ, don't make it get this conversation with you, DJ. Don't do it.
You don't lose.
DJ's called nerds.
Proudly.
Yes.
Okay. It's like all the DJs are trolling us today. What's going on here?
Right.
Hey, nerd and proud. And, positively, Zeke Rod, please advertise this show more. It's a great production. Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. We work hard to put on this mediocre production that you see before.
He's only saying that because Mia's got the prom night backdrop. Like it just makes it look so official.
Yes,
I know. Mia looks so swanky, and we're all just like bookshelves, random, like blank walls.
I am in a blank wall.
You're right. Johnny has like a white wall behind.
I'm now in the home office, and like you want to see what kind of decorations I have in here? Bam.
Oh, what happened to all your? What happened to all your
shelf.
stuff? Oh, that's right. You're moving. That's right. Yeah. Gotcha.
Anyway, Johnny out. Enjoy the rest of the show.
Thank you, Johnny. Thank you very much. Okay, Ashton, you're off the hook. You don't have to sit through us geeking out about Marvel products for a little bit, just a little bit. We probably will come back to it and go full circle. But real quick, guys, Berserker, right? You mentioned Keanu Reeves' new book with Matt Kent and Ron Garney. Well, here's a trailer with a special guest appearance by Keanu Reeves himself, where he's basically just putting you on to what Berserker is. Check it out.
Comics are awesome. Berserker's got everything that you want from a comic book. It's got great drawings, colors, great story. It's got action, has a little romance, and it's about something. I was like, well, I used to collect and I love comic books. And they were like, so did you ever want to make a comic book? And I was like, yeah, this idea of a kind of Viking, someone in a altered state, someone in a higher, heightened state, just out of control. Someone out of control and being compelled or driven to this thing and time like this, kind of hiding in violence, this kind of character trapped who in a way has to, with this curse that it's compelled to violence, he understands the cost of it. He finds life precious even after all this time. And I feel with Berserker we have some masters doing the drawings, masters doing the color, master working with me in the writing, and the story that we have to tell I think is a lot of fun. So check it out. If you do, I hope you enjoy it. Berserker, Boom Studios.
And it said pre-order your copy at the end of that video. But guess what? It's already in comic shops. It's in comic shops right now, so you don't have to pre-order anything. Just head on over to your local comic shop and demand Berserker. And if you can spell it, that is very impressive, because I have been trying to spell it all week and I keep sucking at it. But yes, it's available right now at your local comic shop. How Keanu Reeves was that trailer?
Okay, I would like to say immediately, Keanu Reeves could pitch me a potato and I'd be like, yes, I need that.
Okay, Mia's over here getting flustered just watching the Keanu Reeves video.
I was like, yes, I will definitely pick up this comic from you, Keanu. You like comics, I like comics. Yeah.
You know, and I can't, you can't even hate on it. That's the worst part about it. Like, he's such a cool dude. All right. And, why wouldn't you want Keanu Reeves as a spokesperson? Like, I love when he went out for Cyberpunk and he was just like, I think it was like one of the gaming conventions. He came out for Cyberpunk. He was like, it's just a cool game. And it's really awesome. And you're awesome. And I love everybody here. And like, it's like, all right, I'll buy it. Sure. Sometimes
you can't say no to Keanu.
Right.
Sometimes you don't need the hard sell, guys. Sometimes you just need to be genuine. That's the key to marketing. How about that? So, Ashton, it's unpopular opinions time. So I'm going to shut up. And I'm going to let you take over and do your thing. So here we go. Unpopular.
I disagree.
Okay, so as Troy said, we're diving into unpopular opinions. This might be one of my new favorite segments. We ask you guys to unload your most unpopular nerd opinion. It can be anything pop culture adjacent, but it has to be the one thing you feel pretty certain nobody else agrees with you on. So let's jump into your hot takes. Sean says, I prefer when movies differ drastically from their comic counterparts. I've read the comics, I know the stories. I like when the movies show me something different. For example, Cassandra Cain is one of my favorite members of the Bat family in comics. I also loved the character in Birds of Prey movie.
Be careful what you ask for.
I thought Birds of Prey was a hot disaster, but moving on.
Yeah.
Julie Pinelli says, Saga isn't good, and I don't care if it never comes back. Holy God.
Oh,
that was aggressive.
Do you know who Julie Pinelli is?
I don't know.
It's Jill from our best of 2020 episode.
Oh my God, that is all the context I need. She sat on that best of show and was like hot take after hot take. I was like, girl, you can calm down.
I loved it. Like, she had way more sass than I was prepared to go for. I was like, between Ashton and Jill, like, I was like, this entire show is gonna like explode from sass. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Dane says 1 in 500 exclusive covers are stupid.
I mean, okay.
I kind of agree.
Fine.
Jesse says most of the people who complain about issues in comics don't actually read them.
I love this one. I absolutely love this one. A lot of nodding going here.
Veronica says, coming from an adult with no kids, Teen Titans Go is hilarious, and the movie is one of DC's best movies.
Cool.
Charlotte says, it's not comic related, but I don't find Chris Evans attractive. There, I said it. I know I have an unpopular opinion. I am personally offended. I have sat on this show before and been like, Chris Evans can get it all day, every day. Like, don't you besmirch the good name of Chris Evans. He did nothing to you.
Okay, all right. Okay.
Evans for us. That's okay. Okay.
That is America's ass.
Exactly. Thank you, Johnny.
So, okay, wait a minute. Actually, now I have a question before we jump ahead. Like, Chris Evans or Keanu Reeves? The only one has to go.
Oh,
that's mean. One has to go?
One has to go.
Oh.
Go where? Like, are we going to eject
like
him
the
into
other
space?
room? Do we get him back?
I love Keanu's like, go where? To the other room? Because that's okay.
Like, if he's just going to be in the kitchen, like, that's fine.
Oh no.
I hate this. What if like, can we split it? Like, what if I pick like Chris and she picks Keanu?
Yeah. See, we win.
Work smarter, not harder.
Okay, all right. Respect. I'm sorry. On with the show.
Okay, Troy, do you want to help me with this name so that I don't butcher it?
You know what? I'm going to be honest with you. I've always said Fabian Nicieza, but I don't even know if that's correct, to be honest. But so if you get it wrong, just blame me. Nick Cieza.
Okay, well, Fabian Nicieza deserves more credit for creating Deadpool than Rob Liefeld does. If he's the merc with a mouth, the guy who wrote the words coming out of it is what really matters.
It's, I mean, I don't know about if he deserves more, but definitely, yeah.
Equal.
I mean, he definitely deserves equal credit for the character, which he gets, I feel, but I don't know. All right, is that everything?
That's everything.
Okay. So where do we go from here, Ashton? Like, we got our special guest Mia on here.
Mhm.
Yeah, are you prepared to unload a ungodly hot take that'll split the universe, split Twitter and the universe in half?
I have been over the Avengers movies for a really long time. Like, I went and saw them because I had, like, I just had to see what was going on, but I've just got really tired of them. But, and I did not want to see WandaVision because I was like, whatever. But now I love WandaVision, and it's kind of made me like Avengers a little bit more. But yeah, sorry, I'm not a big Avengers fan.
So wait, from the jump, you were just like, I'm not into this?
Yeah, because I was just like kind of over Avengers movies. I was just like, I don't want to watch another one. I don't really care. It's Wanda. And then now I'm like, Wanda's my favorite and I love her and I would die for her.
Valid.
Well, I mean, you know what? Welcome. You've been converted, Mia. Now you understand what everybody else is saying. Like, I mean, I get why. I get if the MCU is not your cup of tea. Like, I understand. I get it. Like,
burnout. I got burnt out. Burnt out on Avengers movies.
That's what I was thinking. Like, there was like, how things kind of like come in waves. Like when Twilight was a thing, like vampires in general were popular, and like we moved into zombies with Walking Dead, and like now we're in the superhero thing. It's just like you get so much of a thing all at once, all the time, that you're like, well, I'm done. Like it's oversaturated.
Yeah. No, I mean, I get it. I understand. I just like, I thought that actually after Endgame, I was pretty much like done. And now, like, last week's episode of WandaVision is kind of like got me sucked back in again. So I don't know. We'll see. But I respect that. That's a respectable, unpopular opinion, and I know some people share it with you. Here comes Connor.
No, I just want to kind of accentuate what Mia is saying, because I think it ties into the nature of the story too. Because I feel like, I mean, it can also come across in comics, because I'm going to say this as a preface. I love Marvel characters like that, grew up with those. But after a while, there's only so many superhero stories you want to read about a big bad taking over the universe. That's why this is a refreshing change in terms of the MCU. In terms, like, they're technically, at what we're seeing right now, there is no big bad villain. The villain in this show so far is grief. And it's just showing how Wanda deals with it. And I think that reading or watching these kinds of stories is a refreshing break from the regular, fisticuffs or whatever of the usual MCU. And the same thing comes across in some of the original source material, like with 2015's The Vision from Tom King and Gabriel Walta. There's no real big bad in that book that I can remember. It's been a while, so I need to read it again, because we're going to be talking about it on an upcoming episode of the panel. There's our shameless plug.
There you go. Actually, I totally dropped the ball on that. I forgot to ask Mia to tell us about the panel. We'll get to that. We'll get to that show, though. We'll get to that at the end of the show.
But just reading stories like that, it's really refreshing. So I mean, I'm really excited to kind of go back and reread The Vision from 2015. It's a great read, and I'm looking forward to talking about it on the panel. But yeah, I'm kind of co-signing with Mia. I do love the movies, but after a while, you can't get some superhero overkill.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I'm not even excited for all of them. Like, I'll be honest with you. Like, the Eternals, meh. Like, I'm mostly just interested.
About that.
Yeah, I know, right? Like, Shang-Chi, I'm also kind of like, maybe about Shang-Chi. It depends on what they do with I was going to say the Mandarin. Like, if that's something that they're going to work in, I think that might be kind of cool. I'm really looking forward to Doctor Strange, and that's about it. So.
Do you know what I'm like wondering about, that I kind of want to get your opinions on? So, like I just said, like things kind of come in waves, and there's like a big burst of popularity surrounding a thing. And right now we're on superheroes, and Marvel has like this massive calendar of movies and shows that they want to make, kind of like, wow, this is the moment. But like, are we in danger of approaching a place where people just don't care anymore because it is too much? And then they're just kind of left with this like big slate of movies that are kind of like not of concern anymore? Or is it just like too big to fail at this point?
I don't know, me. You want to tackle this?
Depends on the characters that they choose to go
Yeah.
with. Like, I think part
Mhm.
of my, like, kind of getting sick and tired of the Avengers movies was it was always, like, the core Avengers, right, for the most
Mhm.
part, and it was very little about any of the others. And so with WandaVision, it's like you realize that there are these really compelling characters that they haven't even touched on who have
Mhm.
incredibly powerful backstories and, like, stories that you can play with that, you don't need Iron Man and Captain
Mhm.
America every single time.
Mhm.
So I think if they just choose the characters wisely that they go through and pick ones that aren't the ones that we see every single time, I think that they can continue making superhero movies for a while. It's just they got to stop doing the same formula over and over.
Mhm.
Yeah. Actually, Johnny just said in the chat, it's the same with Star Wars. Actually, that's been my biggest gripe with
Yeah.
Star Wars is
Same.
enough of the Skywalkers. Like, I don't want to hear any more about the Skywalkers. And the
Right.
minute they focused on, like, something for the mainstream, I should say, that
Mhm.
wasn't Skywalker related, people loved it. Like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? To the point that when a Skywalker actually showed up on the last season, people were actually genuinely surprised because they were so focused on the actual story of these particular characters. So yeah, I'm with that. I'm 100% with that. I think for me, I have a story addiction. I do know this for a fact about myself, and with the MCU, I'm constantly impressed about how it kind of constantly folds in on itself, and I shouldn't be because like that's what comics do, but it's one of those things where it's doubly impressive because it's a Hollywood production and there's people
Mhm.
involved, so many people involved, so other stuff. But yeah, then I watch something like then I'll have those moments where I'm like, well, maybe this is it. Maybe this is when everything goes to crap and it's just like not fun anymore. At least I have the comics, right? That'll be my default. At least I have the comics, right?
Mhm.
But then like WandaVision will do stuff, and I'm sitting there like, oh my god, I got to rewatch Agent Carter and Agents of Shield because they talk
Mhm.
about this stuff, like the Darkhold on those shows. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So it's one of those things where it's like, I guess it's mileage kind of really depends on how if they take it
Mhm.
seriously or not. Like I just saw an interview with Hugh Jackman where he talked about how Kevin Feige is genuinely a fan, and I think the minute you lose that, that's the minute the people will stop caring.
Mhm.
That's kind of how I see it. So, um, we have a poll this week.
We have a poll this week,
All right.
and we have a comment this week.
Yep,
Okay.
let's go to the comment real quick. Sorry. Nicholas Schoenbeck saying, I think there will always be people who get burnt out by a thing. But for me, I'm a fan of comics and I'll almost always look at the new thing.
That's fair. That's
Yeah.
fair.
Yeah. And we've said this before in the show. It's like, you know what? Not every comic book movie or adaptation or every whatever is going to be, a winner. But just by the sheer fact of that I love comics and I'm just so happy to see the Avengers make their way to the big screen, Hellboy, just all these different titles that are coming out in mass media for everyone to enjoy. It's like I'll always give something a chance, no matter what it's
Sure.
the perceived notion of it is.
Yeah, no matter what. Like, I mean, at the end of the day, like, I have some reservations about this J.J. Abrams Superman that's coming out with Ta-Nehisi Coates, but I'm kind of like, I mean, if that first trailer rocks, I'm probably gonna go see it. So
Right.
whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, like, let's do the poll this week, Ashley. What kind of trouble have you gotten us into
Let's
online?
do the poll. So somebody commented on our hot takes thing, and he said that Sherlock Holmes is the definitive greatest detective of all time. Screw Batman. So I said, well, let's kick it up a notch.
Okay.
So I asked you guys to tell me who is the best detective sleuth mystery solver of all time between Sherlock, Batman, the Scooby Gang, and Nancy Drew. And some of this is very close. Some of it is not close at all.
Well, actually, before we even jump into this, Mia, who would you choose?
Oh God, I don't know.
Gut
I feel like
instinct.
I would Sherlock Holmes. I have to go because Batman still kind of has help. I mean, he's still got people that help him a bit and resources. Whereas Sherlock Holmes is like he just deduces everything. Like he sees a spot of dirt on your shoes and he knows where you went to. He knows like everything about you from that one piece of dirt. And I'm like, okay, that's pretty impressive.
Okay, so you're talking specifically Cumberbatch, Sherlock Holmes, put him on top of the Batman, the Scooby Gang, and Nancy Drew.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go for it.
Johnny, can you place your?
I want to hop in on this one because first of all, are we talking about Benedict Cumberbatch Sherlock Holmes? Or are we talking about like the 1800s Sherlock Holmes?
Is this question to me? Who is this to?
Benedict is my Sherlock.
Because if we're going back to like the 1800s Sherlock Holmes, then he's got like, less resources to like look things up. He didn't have the internet. He's basically going around like with his weird like double brimmed hat and in the magnifying glass. But he's solving the crimes of the century. So
don't forget the use of cocaine and heroin.
That is very motivating.
Details. This is allegedly.
Okay.
All right.
Batman, he may be smart, but I'm feeling like a lot of his detective skills are based off of like his gadgetry. Like especially if you're playing like the Arkham Knight video games, like he's not going to be able to like fully analyze a crime scene. Like he's got his like technology. It's like basically rewinding an entire scene of what happened. Now, granted, that's just a video game, but I'm not going towards him. Scooby-Doo gang, they are a bunch of idiots. They can't figure out a mystery when the guy is wearing a damn mask. It was Old Man Withers.
They unmask him every time. Jonathan, watch your mouth.
Oh my God! Seriously, every single time it's someone wearing a mask.
Okay, it's a hot mess. Like you have like the four of the most ridiculous people and a talking dog that's motivated solely by his stomach, and they sort it out every time.
I'm just wondering why no one just started investigating mask shops. Like, if you just get a list of all the people buying masks.
That's true.
Let me get your customer list, please. I need your credit card records and transactions. Yes. Okay. So it was Old Man Withers. It was Old Man Smithers. It was Old Lady Crazy Cats.
I'm bored.
And Nancy Drew. I never read Nancy Drew.
I've never read Nancy Drew, so I can't remember.
Okay, well, I'm going to leave it up to Mia. So, Mia, what was your pick again?
I said Sherlock Holmes, but Benedict Cumberbatch Sherlock Holmes.
There we go. Oh,
wow.
Oh.
Just like, barely winning, 33.9. Batman's at 33.3. Scooby-Doo Gang at 25.4, and Nancy Drew at 7.3.
Can we blame sexism on this? I mean, the Scooby Gang has women on the team.
That's true.
Well, Velma can't see a thing without her glasses.
There you go. I was actually going to say, you called them a bunch of idiots. Like Velma's like the only smart one.
Yeah.
Right. She's like desperately trying to keep it together, and everyone else is like off in a corner. Like Shaggy contributes virtually nothing.
Nothing at all. None whatsoever.
Yeah, if they're just like, if they would cut down on doing the door gag where they're just like, you see down that shot down the long hallway, and it's just a bunch of doors opening, and they're like running left and right. Like, you would have solved this mystery like half an hour ago if you
half an hour ago.
Yeah.
Right. You think they would have figured out by now the monsters aren't real in their universe, and they would just pull people's faces off, but I don't know. Anyway, wouldn't that be amazing? Anyway, yes. Okay, so what's the deal? Where is this? Where can people find this poll, Ashton?
Oh, that's right. You can find this poll on Free Comic Book Day on Twitter at Free Comic Book Day. The poll's running for 3 more days, so if you feel very strongly about it in a particular way, go and cast your vote. Tell your friends. I saw that a Scooby-Doo fan page picked this up and retweeted it, so I'm thinking that there might be an uptick in Scooby votes coming very shortly.
Okay. I mean, that's how the game is played, right? Like, I mean, I've noticed that in the past. Like, if one Twitter account that has a vested interest and it gets like attached, it's all over. Like
you're gonna find like
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna say you're gonna find like the BTS swarm of Scooby fans
who just own Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
Gonna flood it with like Scooby hashtags.
Scooby hashtags, right? So I mean, cast your vote, guys. Let it be known. Like I'm actually not too sure on that. I just started watching the Benedict Cumberbatch Sherlock, so I don't know. I'll get back to you on that one, Mia. Ashton, what is this week's comic shop shout out?
This week's comic shop shout out goes to Royal Collectibles in New York City, and it comes from Damaris. If you want us to shout out your shop on the show, find us on social media, tag your shop. If they don't have a handle, just leave their name, and also use the hashtag #SupportYourLCS. We will find your post, we will shout out your shop on the show, and give them some love.
All right, okay. And Mia, what can you tell us about the upcoming episode of the panel?
Super excited. We're going to be talking about and reading Vision. I'm so excited because, WandaVision was my first introduction into, the world of Wanda and the Vision. So I'm really excited to see kind of what the similarities between the show and the comic are and what kind of differs. And getting to know this family a little bit more and probably cry my eyes out more. Whenever this last episode comes up. Yep.
There you go. There you go. And that's actually going to be next week, guys. So keep an eye out for that. It should be a good discussion. We already got our guests lined up, one of which is Mr. Johnny Rose, because he insisted. He was like, I love this book. I want to talk about it. So,
and I real quick, I just want to give a little bit of backstory. One of the reasons like I wanted to talk about this is like when I got back into reading comics after a while, you know, we go through phases, we fall in and out of reading them. When I started getting back into reading them, this was one of the books that I would hear people talking about like at whatever comic shop I went to. It was like different stores from like Comics to Astonish, like right down the road from me, or to Third Eye Comics down in Annapolis, a little further south. But like I kept hearing this book referenced and recommended over and over and over again. So I'm excited to talk about it because it was a great read, and I think that a lot of people who are enjoying WandaVision are also going to enjoy this book as well.
Awesome. So yeah, keep an eye on that, guys. That'll be next week, and we'll be sure to notify you on our social media. So be sure to like, follow, and subscribe, because as you saw, someone just mentioned, we keep getting this all the time, right? Ashton, people like, this show is great, more people should watch it.
Right.
Well, here's the thing, right? If you like, follow, and subscribe, it works. You can't miss an episode. So yeah, make sure you like, follow, subscribe, let your friends know, share our episodes with your peeps. And on that note, I actually want to remind people that it is Women in Comics Month on our website this week. What was that, Nia? Were you throwing up gang signs?
At the little thing.
I was pointing at the tech.
Yeah, I want to remind people that it is Women in Comics Month, and so what we've done is we created a section called the Women in Comics Month section on our website. So PREVIEWSworld.com, Women in Comics Month, and it's highlighting not just books but also the talent and like the history of women in comics. We got some great stuff about Jackie Orms on there. I just did an interview for Chariot with the artist on that one. Yeah, just a lot of history spread out on that page right now. So definitely, if you're at all interested, definitely check it out, because we're going to be adding stuff to it throughout the month. So yeah, keep an eye on that. And Mia, where can everybody find you?
You can find me on all my social media at Animia official, or for some reason on Facebook, I'm animia.cosplay. That one's kind of older, but you can find me there, and also on the panel and on Game Trade Media doing some of the GTM minutes. So
all right, cool. And of course, yeah,
definitely check her out on Instagram, because she posted this great picture with like the Jigglypuff knee-high boots the other day. That was incredible.
Thank you. I'm trying to up my geek fashion.
I loved that.
I like it. I feel like, I don't know about you guys. Like, have you been making your geek fashion purchases during the quarantine? I've definitely been doing that. That's how I got this shirt. Like, that's been me like the last several weeks.
Oh yeah, I've been buying clothes. Have nowhere to wear them, but I'm still buying clothes. So
Nowhere to go. And I saw a great tweet the other day. It was like, why am I buying clothes? Where the F am I going?
Right. She's like, oh, this is cute for like sitting on the couch.
Right, exactly. And then you factor in quarantine weight, and I'm just like, oh God, am I even going to be able to wear this stuff when it's all over?
No.
So. Just got to hit the gym. But guys, thank you for joining us this week on PREVIEWSworld Weekly. Thank you, Anna Mia, for joining us this week on PREVIEWSworld Weekly.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And Ashton?
That's me.
You want to give yourself a little shout out and let people know about Free Comic Book Day before we walk away? Just one more time.
I do. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. All of them are at Free Comic Book Day. We'll be announcing the titles for this upcoming Free Comic Book Day in 2 weeks from now, March 16th and March 18th. And your friendly reminder that Free Comic Book Day will be happening this year on Saturday, August 14th at your local comic shop. Please mark your calendars so you don't turn up at your local comic shop in May and wonder where the comics are. August 14th.
Yeah, please do not do that. That would not be wise. And on that note, this has been PREVIEWSworld Weekly. I'm one of your hosts, Troy Jeffrey Allen.
I'm your other host, Ashton Greenwood.
And we will see you guys at the spinner rack. Catch you later.
Don't forget that you can catch PREVIEWSworld Weekly streaming live every Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific at PREVIEWSworld on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch.